top story for you this morning, and a nightmare before Christmas because there's danger to life weather warnings issued as Storm Darragh batters parts of the UK with winds of up to 90 miles an hour.
Around 3 million people have been urged to stay indoors after the Met Office issued a rare red weather warning in parts of Wales and southwest of England.
Well, Brits have braced for a weekend of chaos, delayed flights, cancelled trains, postponed Christmas parties as well, of course.
We're joined now by meteorologist John Hammond. Good morning, John. Has the weather kept you awake all night? I could hear a sort of storm raging all night.
I know, I could hear it outside all night long, and the good news is, or should I say the bad news is, that the forecast is going exactly according to plan. So, yeah, the height of the storm over the next few hours, in fact, just over the last hour or two, we've had those 90-mile-an-hour gusts slamming into the west coast of Wales, 91 miles an hour at one station, actually, but... yeah, winds quite widely, over 70 miles an hour now across a good chunk of West Wales and funneling up the Bristol Channel as well. So some places which aren't normally impacted by gusts of that ferocity are getting hit right now with 70 mile an hour gusts. For example, in and around the Cardiff area, Bristol badly affected as well. This is where the red warning is in force, but more widely across the country, we've got warnings of various complexions, as you're no doubt aware. These warnings to stay at home are very wise warnings because, with winds of that sort of ferocity, things will fall over. Trees, for example, power lines, there'll be a lot of flying debris. And although it's flat calm right now in the eye of the storm, what you're looking at right now across northern England, the eye of the storm is absolutely quiet and calm, but as the storm moves further eastwards, so those strong winds further west will push their way across other parts of the country. So if you're waking up and thinking, what's all the fuss about? For example, across parts of northern England, those winds will pick up with a vengeance over the next few hours. So by the afternoon, just about all of us will be being battered by very strong winds, and it's going to get increasingly cold as well because that storm is going to usher in some really cold northerly winds. So temperatures dropping through the day. It's snowing across the Highlands of Scotland. I think snow will be confined to the high ground mostly, but it's rain which is the most concern, particularly across Wales, where, of course, we had that flooding from Storm Bert. We're seeing a deluge of rain now, and that's going to sweep its way eastwards as well. So it's all going on today. Just to reiterate, the worst of the winds this morning across West Wales, those winds transferring further eastwards through the day. 50, 60, 70 mile an hour winds are enough to cause problems. Disruption, certainly. There'll be power outages in some places. There'll be a lot of flying debris. There is a ray of hope. Things will improve slowly as we go into Sunday. The wind's beginning to subside. And actually into next week, much calmer. We lose the stormy weather. We gain cold, crisp, frosty weather by then. Through much of next week, it does look a lot quieter.
Oh, good. Thank heavens. It's nice to have you on with a bit of good news at the end, John. Yeah. Thanks very much indeed. Good to see you. It was dreadful coming into work this morning. And we're in the best part for it all.
We've had a message from Jules. Hi, Jules. Well done, Stephen and Anne, for making it in this morning. I, for one, am finding this storm very scary. The
drive down was just very, very blustery on the car.
You've got a long drive in too, haven't you?
But no, so if you're in one of those affected areas, really pay attention. And they say do not leave the house. So just don't leave the house. And
it's not just the fact that the wind is strong and the rain is belting at you. It's the fact that there will be flying debris in some of those areas, and you've got to watch out.
When you look at people who tragically die in storms like this, it's very often hit by trees and branches and things, even if they're in the car.
And if you got that warning on the phone, Tim says, good morning, the warning on my phone scared the hell out of me.
Oh, it would do.
It would do, wouldn't it? But it's better to be warned, I guess, but it is still scary. Well, he was out with the turkeys yesterday.
He was.
Very good, wasn't he? He looked so fantastic. But today, Will Hollis is out in the weather. Where are you, Will, and what's it like?
Yes, well, every day is different as a reporter. Right now, I'm by the River Trent in Nottingham. There is a yellow weather warning in parts of central England and most of the country for wind, but the ferocity is where that red weather warning is, which is incredibly rare for the Met Office to introduce a red weather warning for wind. That's in Wales and parts of the western country, where a little bit earlier the Met Office announced that they had indeed reached wind speeds of up to 92 miles per hour. They were expecting that 90 miles per hour, and that means that there is a danger to life. The signal that this is really quite bad is the government triggering its risk to life warning system. That's something that was introduced a couple of years ago, where people in areas of concern will get a siren sounding on their phone. If it's modern enough, a smartphone will get it, and it will last for around 10 seconds, blaring sirens and information about the risks that the weather is posing them in the area that they live, particularly gusts, but there is a lot of worry about rain as well. There are 120 flood alerts in the wake of Storm Darragh. The floods tend to happen a little bit after the storm, when the rain comes in, the wind comes in, and then as it starts to settle, then the water that's come down ends up in areas where people experience the flooding. What else happens when you have storms like this? Well, traffic and travel is heavily affected. We know that airports are affected and some flights have had to be diverted. Trains as well are being cancelled, particularly in the western parts of the country. Wales cross-country trains have had quite a few problems. And the roads as well, again, particularly in western parts of the country where a number of motorways have been closed. The advice, as always with these sorts of events, is to check with Network Rail if you're planning to travel by train, to check with the national highways if you're planning to drive somewhere, and ultimately the advice for 3 million people in particular in those affected zones where there's the red warning is to stay indoors.
Well, let's get an update from Doogie Beattie, who's in Belfast.
Northern Ireland very much waking up to structural damage and some trees down around the province. Behind me is the main road to Belfast, and you can see those emergency services trying to clear away those trees so as traffic can flow quite freely again. But it's not on the same scale as Storm Bert was last week. There is flights cancelled and some traffic delays, but those flights are cancelled because of where they're going to rather than the conditions here for taking off.
I think Doogie's got the worst of it at the moment.
He has at the moment.
But let's get an update from our northwest of England reporter, Sophie Reaper, about how the weather is there.
Well, here in the northwest, what Storm Darragh means for us is that we've been forecast heavy rain and wind gusts of around 70 to 80 miles per hour in certain places. And as a result, the Met Office has issued that amber weather alert for wind. That came into place around 1 o'clock this morning and will remain in place now until around 9 o'clock tonight. But it's a similar story for much of the country today. Some places even facing a rare red weather warning, with that amber warning starting up in Scotland, making its way down through the Lake District into the likes of Lancashire and Merseyside, then into Wales and finally down to the southwest coastline. Now, what this means, the Met Office says, is that there's an increased risk of damage to buildings, with potential for roofs to be blown off and power lines to be brought down. They've also said it's likely there will be severe travel disruption, with the likelihood that many trains, buses and planes will in fact be cancelled in certain areas. And then on top of all of that, they've warned the likelihood of flooding will be increased. They've warned that along the coastline there will be bigger waves. And in fact, perhaps most concerningly, they've warned that there is an increased risk to life in certain places due to the risk of flying debris and the potential for falling trees. So the advice today is to avoid travel where you can, stay indoors where possible, and ultimately just stay safe.
Sophie Reaper then, you could actually hear that wind on a mic. Those mics are designed to keep most of the wind off, but you can still getting through there. So just be very, very sensible is the way to do it.
Yeah, and I know that a lot of people watching them don't like to be told that because they think that's, why does the media go on and on about it? But you have to in a way, don't you? Because it's the Met Office who are saying this is that important, a rare red weather warning.
What's the chances that we're reporting tomorrow morning that, about someone who's died in this? And it's a horrible reality, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Make sure it's not you, is basically the warning.
No, let's go.
38, Aidan McGee's got some breaking sports news for us this morning.
Yeah, indeed. Having said just a few minutes ago that none of the fixtures in any of the 4 divisions have been affected by adverse weather, Everton have just put a tweet out. This is the big game of the day, 12:30, the last Merseyside derby at Goodison Park. It's going to be postponed because Everton have put out a tweet 3 minutes ago saying today's Merseyside derby at Goodison Park has been postponed due to adverse weather conditions. Full details to follow. I'm not sure what else is going to follow that. With the main thing is that it's
I'm not surprised they're on the coastline that's being battered pretty badly at the moment.
Yes, they are. It's just they said last night they looked like it was going to go ahead. We're 4 hours away from kick-off now. Look, we had postponements quite close to kick-off before. It's not a new thing, but I'm just quite surprised that it went. But nonetheless, that's the breaking news. So that's it's going to be postponed, and we'll have it to look forward to after Christmas. I would have thought.
Oh well, Goodison Park maybe gets to live another day then.
Yeah, it doesn't get put out to graze until the end of the season. But this is the last time Liverpool will play there. But I think it'll probably be rearranged for January.
Most fans to that game would not have set off yet, would they?
No, I don't think so. Most of the supporters there would be local. I mean, obviously they're both quite international clubs, so they fancy to come from anywhere in theory. But yeah, I guess it's no great surprise given that. I was coming in through London this morning. I was dodging rubbish sacks and plastic.
Flying foxes.
Yeah,
I'll bet.
Even plastic recycling tubs. One guy slowed down in front of me. I'm thinking, what are you doing? And I realised when I went round him, he'd been confronted by a load of rubbish.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Well, it's not lit up or illuminated or anything, is it? It's difficult.
Yeah, very well. Look, grim. So if you're in the Liverpool area, you get the impression that you should probably just stay indoors as well today. Don't go out anywhere.
So we need to. You said in the break just then, will others be affected as well? Well, I think you have to say that looking at the games at Aston Villa, which is obviously Birmingham, there's 2 matches in London, Brentford and Crystal Palace at 3 o'clock. Manchester United, I would have thought, would be at risk at 5:30. It's only 34 miles away from Liverpool. So we'll just wait and keep our ears to the ground and find out, because that's a decision has to be made early because it's a 12:30 kick-off and they've got a bit more time to. There'll be inspections, I would have thought, but it's about the safety around the grounds.
Oh yes,
and the safety of the supporters getting there.
That's right. Yeah. Exactly.